What's up, everybody? Was approaching Super Bowl weekend here. I've been so focused on draft stuff. It just kind of hit me. I was like, what kind of football analyst would I be if I didn't cover the Super Bowl? So we're going to break down the game. We're going to go through the biggest matchups for the big game this Sunday. And then I'm going to make my final pick for the Super Bowl. So let's start with the biggest matchups. And for me, I'm not going to rank these or anything, but one of the biggest ones for sure is going to be, can the Chiefs slow down the Eagles' run game? Let's face it, Jalen Hurts has not been incredible in this playoff run. He's dealing with a shoulder injury, and I think Jalen Hurts has been incredible, and I'm done doubting him, but I don't know if he's necessarily had a chance to really prove that he can beat a playoff team with his arm. It's been a pretty easy run through the playoffs so far, and I think if the Chiefs are going to neutralize the Eagles' offense, it is going to be by forcing Jalen Hurts to beat him with his arm and make him prove that he can do that. Now, I'm not saying he cannot do that or will not do that. I'm just saying that's going to be the path to success, because right now, this Eagles run game is, pun intended, I guess, running straight through defenses. And the Chiefs' front seven is like, they've got some players. I love Nick Bolton. I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about Chris Jones. But you're going up against not just a mobile quarterback who changes the numbers, but an explosive running back in Miles Sanders. Hell, even my boy KG 14 is running well right now. But you're going against the best damn offensive line in maybe 20 years. So can this group with Colin Sanders, who specifically has played very well lately, can he step up and beef up on the interior? Can Derek Nadi, who's had a very up and down season, and that's putting it lightly, can Frank Clark, Mike Dana, Carlos Dunlap, can these guys really step up, get off blocks, contain the edge, don't let Jalen Hurts get outside on the read option? And if they can do that, then you can force them into passing situations where this defense that's built to be a better pass defense than a run defense, in my opinion, can pin their ears back a little bit and maybe make Jalen Hurts uncomfortable behind that brick wall of an offensive line that they have. It's a tall task, but that to me is I'll go out and say it. I think that is the biggest thing for the Chiefs. It is a horrible matchup for them, and they have to play above what they look like on paper on that group to match what that run game for the Eagles is capable of. So that's going to be the biggest matchup right there. But some other big ones, I'm looking at these Eagles wide receivers, not A.J. Brown. I know what he's going to do. He's going to moss somebody. He's going to embarrass somebody just like he always does with that my ball bitch mentality that he has. But when you look at Quez Watkins and even Devontae Smith, as incredible as he is, you were talking about two very slender receivers. And I am not trying to talk down on Devontae Smith, but he is much better getting free releases, getting to work in space than he is going against good physical press coverage. In fact, the splits prove that he's good against press, but he's not as dominant as he is in other situations. And the Chiefs, more than just about anybody in the league, are going to get in your face. They're going to press. And straight up, they're going to grab, they're going to hold, they're going to push the limits. That's what this Chiefs defense does. They know that the refs, granted all of the talk about the last game, they know that the refs aren't going to want to be what decides the Super Bowl, maybe even especially after last week and the narrative around that game. So they're going to be bodying up Devonta Smith and Quez Watkins with guys like Justin Watson, who's been really good, Isaiah McDuffie, who's been an awesome rookie, and of course, L'Jarius Sneed. So that's going to be a really interesting matchup. You have two very slender receivers going against the most physical secondary in the league, or at least one of the most physical secondaries. So that is, I think the Eagles have the advantage in that situation, but can they catch that group off guard and force them to beat them in a way with that group that they're not used to doing? So that's a big one. And then can the Chiefs offensive line, specifically the tackles slow down this incredible group of edge rushers for the Eagles. We all remember that 2020 Super Bowl where Mahomes is running for his life against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a bunch of backup offensive linemen in there. This Chiefs offensive line has been revamped. They are a much better group than that. And I think they have a big advantage, maybe not a big advantage, but an advantage with that interior group. I like Hargrave a lot. I like Fletcher Cox. Could be the last game of his career potentially. Could he be going all out? I like Milton Williams is playing better lately. Of course, Jordan Davis. I like those guys a lot, but that Chiefs interior offensive line is probably the best in the league. So I'm not worried about that group, but you have Orlando Brown at left tackle. He's a very matchup-dependent tackle. He's a power guy. We see him all the time. He gets turned. He loses that ability to square up to the edge rusher. And you have Mahomes, who likes to drop an extra few steps backwards, which hurts that angle. And going up against possibly the best speed rusher in the NFL right now, Hassan Reddick, who's just got incredible get-off speed and bend. So what are the Chiefs going to do to stop Hassan Reddick from working Orlando Brown? And do the Eagles flip Reddick over to that side? I think Reddick can go both ways, but just off the top of my head, I feel like most of his highlights have been coming off against the right tackle, but I know he's played both sides throughout his career. I don't think that'll be much of an issue. And maybe I'm just fabricating that, but I would expect them to test Orlando Brown with Hassan Reddick. And at right tackle, you have Andrew Wiley, who did start at right tackle in that catastrophic Super Bowl performance against the Bucs. And this is a player that was horrible in that Super Bowl. Just 3 weeks ago, got mollywopped by Max Crosby. He's going to have to go against Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, who's had an awesome season, Brandon Graham, who likewise has had big moments in Super Bowls. This could be his swan song here. So, goodness, that is a horrible matchup for the Chiefs. Mahomes, I think he's going to be mostly healthy, but does he take enough hits that ankle gets re-aggravated? I'm worried for the Chiefs in that specific matchup. Yeah. And then the last matchup I want to cover here is, what is the Eagles' game plan going to be against Patrick Mahomes? Because you have, with Jonathan Gannon and Vic Fangio as a member of that staff. For those who saw my Vic Fangio video, I highly recommend it. Could add some context to a lot of the stuff I'm about to say, but I fully expect the Eagles to take the approach of, we are going to put a cover over Mahomes. We're going to play 2 high defenses, cover 4, cover 6, rotate the safeties, allow him to take stuff underneath, rush with 4, and force him to make a bunch of good decisions, lead 9, 10, 11 play touchdown drives. And then there's two things to that. Number one is, can the Chiefs run the ball against those looks? Because they're going to be inviting the run, and that's going to be a big matchup right there. That's pretty self-explanatory. But more specifically with Patrick Mahomes, who's playing, I think, the best football of his life. He won another MVP tonight. If the Eagles do that, which this game plan, the Fangio defense, stemmed from when Vic Fangio was in Denver taking on Patrick Mahomes twice a year, it was supposed to be the formula to beat Pat. But since then, the last couple of years, he's gotten so much better at taking the underneath stuff. Hell, the Chiefs have modified their offense, getting guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, making Travis Kelce even a bigger part of their offense. So do the Chiefs respond to that by nickel and diming, a bunch of underneath throws, and then what is the counterpunch from the Eagles? It could be a big test for Jonathan Gannon if this becomes a competitive game. What do they do to adjust the game plan and match up with a guy like Travis Kelce? Whereas the Eagles, I like TJ Edwards. He's a good player. He can't cover Travis Kelce. Kaiser White's fine. He can't cover Travis Kelce. He's not athletic enough. He's not big enough. And the Eagles don't have great safeties. I think I say that, but Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is a decent enough matchup, but he doesn't have the height. He's like 5'11", 6 foot. So what's the Eagles' answer in that situation? How does that play out schematically between the two sides? It's going to be a very fascinating sort of chess match to watch. Now, before I make my final pick for the Super Bowl, I want to let you guys know this is your last weekend to play daily pick'em contests on UnderdogFantasy.com. I've loved playing these contests on Underdog. You're picking anywhere from 2 to 5 over/under props, and the payouts are awesome. You can get up to 20 to 1 if you hit on all 5 of your picks. You can buy insurance if you want to go that route and protect yourself from missing on one pick. And it just at the end of the day, it just increases your interest and spices up Sundays. And this is the last chance to do that with the daily pick'em contest. And right now, when you sign up using promo code TFG, they will match $100 on your first deposit. But you can also get a free gimme bet right now of Jalen Hurts over a half a yard. I think he's going to get that. So you can get a little booster on your bet. And then if you're worried about the season ending and putting a deposit in there, don't worry. They have awesome best ball format contests that are going to be going throughout the summer for the NFL. And then NBA and other sports, if you're into other sports and want to do pick'em contests for that as well. So right now at Underdog Fantasy, promo code TFG. Check it out. I can't wait to get my lineup going on Sunday, and I wanted to share you guys what I'm rolling with here. So you obviously are taking that Hurts gimme. I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes over 25.5 completions. I do think, especially as we get into the second half, the Chiefs are going to have to open up that passing game. I think they'll have decent success on the ground, but with some of the points we made, I do think this is going to be a tough matchup for that Chiefs defense, and the Chiefs offense is going to get into a passing script. Also, I think the Eagles are going to do a lot of that, let Mahomes take the underneath stuff. So I like the completions over for Mahomes at 25.5, and then Travis Kelce over for the same reason. I do think that's the matchup the Chiefs are going to really have to attack. Travis Kelce over the last 2 games has 14 targets and 8 targets. And when Mahomes targets Kelce, he's catching it like 90% of the time. So I expect a lot of passes and a lot of Travis Kelce in this game until the Eagles are forced to adjust. But even then, we know how amazing Kelce is. Also, you got the Kelce battle here. He's going to want to have a big game. And then likewise for the Eagles offense, I have Dallas Goedert over 5 receptions. His last 3 games, he's had 5, 5, and 6 receptions. But the last 2 games have been done by the fourth quarter, right? The Niners game and the Giants game, they haven't really had to throw in the fourth quarter. So Hurts with, again, I think his shoulder is maybe a concern, but I don't think he's going to be lighting the Chiefs up with deep passes in this game. So I think Goddard's his go-to guy in those tough situations. They've been featuring him, and the Chiefs are weaker in the middle of the field. We talked about how those cornerbacks can make things more difficult on some of these receivers. Does that mean they turn to a guy like Dallas Goedert, who might be covered by, Willie Gay or Leo Chenal or even Nick Bolton? I think is a favorable matchup for Goddard in the receiving game. So there you go. We're going Goddard over, Kelce over, Mahomes over, Hurts with the gimme. And then the last one here is what they call these rivals formats. So I'm going to be taking Miles Sanders with more fantasy points than Isaiah Pacheco. And Pacheco gets an extra plus 0.55 fantasy points. So I think Miles Sanders can get going in the receiving game a little bit in this one. But I also talked about that matchup. I really like how the Eagles' run game matches up with the Chiefs' defensive line. And I think the Chiefs are going to get into a passing script and end up with a lot more Jerick McKinnon on the field than Isaiah Pacheco. So that's the last one there, is Miles Sanders more fantasy points than Isaiah Pacheco. So that bet plays 20-1 at UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code TFG. All right, let's get into the final pick here. I think you can probably tell by my tone, I'm going to take the Eagles to win this game. I look at this roster, it's too incredible. We haven't even really mentioned Jalen Hurts all that much, and I don't think he's going to have to do all that much. I really do believe the Eagles are going to have success on the ground. I talked about the Chiefs maybe having some guys step up, but if I'm predicting this, I don't think they can. That offensive line is a bunch of bullies up front, and you add the numbers advantage with Jalen Hurts there. That's going to be really a lot to handle. And then the other big one, I don't need to reiterate it, but Mahomes is going to be running for his life in this game. Orlando Brown and Andrew Wiley versus that group of edge rushers, that's a yikes. So I'm going to take the Eagles to kind of get out early, maybe 20-6, 24-10, like in the third quarter, have a really good start, just as they have had the last few weeks. But I do think Mahomes and these guys, they're not going to back down. They're going to make adjustments. They're the more experienced team, even if they don't have the roster talent. I think they'll fight back, make things really interesting in the fourth quarter. And the way I'm going to predict this to play out is that Patrick Mahomes leads a fourth quarter comeback down 28-20 with 3 minutes to go. He leads the touchdown drive, but they don't get the 2-point conversion. So we're going to go Eagles 28-26. Technically, with that score prediction, there's no cover. I think the Eagles are... Hold on. I don't even know what the spread of this game is. Is it 2.5? I think it's 2.5. Hold on. It is 1.5. So they still cover. There you go. 28-26. Eagles cover with a 2-point conversion stop. That's my Super Bowl prediction. Thank you guys for watching. Got lots more draft content coming your way. Make sure you're subscribed. And please do hit that like button. We'll see you later. Peace out.